Action Research on Number Talks by Caitlin Kiss. In order to effectively understand my action research, make sure you have a piece of paper and pencil handy. Within my grade 8 placement, there was a lack of conversation and collaboration within the math classroom. With that being said, the teacher was often instructing, followed by the students doing their independent work, otherwise known as traditional teaching methods. My associate teacher had voiced his concern that he had run out of strategies to keep the students engaged while learning about math. My initial thoughts were to figure out a way to keep the students engaged by giving them the opportunity to voice their own individual math strategies, demonstrating their own personal learning styles and distinctive ways to solve math problems in a respectful and positive environment. My research question is as follows. How can the implementation of Number Talks within the middle school math classroom create a collaborative classroom community that recognizes the diverse math strategies of each individual? To improve my research question, I changed my original question from starting with the word does to how can, making it more open-ended but succinct at the same time. My sub-questions are as follows. How are Number Talks effectively integrated into the middle school math environment? What are the different math strategies that students identify with? What might students deem as a collaborative classroom community within their math classroom? And how do students feel they are best engaged in math? Through the revision process, I added in the last sub-question because I feel the idea of engagement plays a vital role in creating a collaborative classroom community. Collaborative learning is the first definition, which is a situation in which two or more people learn or attempt to learn something together. Collaborative learning is commonly illustrated when groups of students work together to search for understanding, meaning, or solutions to create an artifact or product of their learning. The next definition is student engagement, which is the degree of attention, curiosity, interest, optimism, and passion that students show when they are learning or being taught, which extends to the level of motivation they have to learn and progress in their education. Next is learning styles, which refers to the preferential way in which the student absorbs, processes, comprehends, and retains information. Individual learning styles depend on cognitive, emotional, and environmental factors, as well as one's prior experiences. Number talks are short discussions among the teacher and students about how to solve a particular mental math problem. The focus is not on the correct answer, but on all the possible methods of finding the answer. Lastly, accountable talk refers to talk that is meaningful, respectful, and mutually beneficial to both the speaker and listener. It stimulates higher order thinking, helping students to learn, reflect on their learning, and communicate their knowledge and understanding. Through instructor and peer editing, accountable talk was added in as a definition because it is a relatively new concept in education and it is usually used in the language classroom. Therefore, it's important for people to understand what it is and how it can be used in the math environment, rather than assuming my audience already has this prior knowledge. A number talk is a 5 to 15-minute classroom conversation around purposefully crafted computation problems that are solved mentally. Additionally, the problems in a number talk are designed to elicit specific strategies that focus on number relationships and number theory. By sharing and defending their solutions and strategies, students have the opportunity to collectively reason about numbers while building connections to key conceptual ideas in mathematics. In a number talk, the teacher gives the class an equation to solve mentally. Students may use paper and pencil to keep track of the steps as they do the mental calculations. Student strategies are then shared and discussed to help all students to think more flexibly as they work with numbers and operations. It is extremely important for teachers to follow students' thinking by posing the right questions to build understanding and to help develop grade-level specific strategies for the math operation being studied. Now please write down the following math equation: 150 minus 98. Now put your pencil down and start thinking mentally about how you're going to solve this equation in your head. What strategies could you use, digging into your prior knowledge, to solve this equation? Did you make 98 a friendly number, such as 100, to then do your subtraction? If we were in a classroom setting, you would now have the opportunity to share your mental math strategy with me and the rest of your class to demonstrate your unique style of thinking. When facilitating a number talk within the classroom environment, It is of utmost importance to align the content of the number talk with the curriculum documents. This will give the teacher a starting point as to where the number talk should begin based on grade level expectations and student prior knowledge. With that being said, in order for a number talk to be successful, it should emphasize classroom environment and community, classroom discussion, the role of mental math, and purposeful computation problems. Additionally, a number talk should eventually become student-directed through scaffolding and a gradual release of responsibility where students are running the number talk by themselves without teacher direction. It is also of importance for middle school teachers to effectively differentiate a number talk to meet the needs of all students within the classroom, as well as to encourage sharing and clarifying students' thinking, to teach intentionally, and to create a safe and supportive number talk environment where all students feel welcomed. With that being said, as a future educator, how do you think you would ensure your number talk environment is safe and supported where all your students feel welcomed? In order for a number talk to run smoothly, with an emphasis on a collaborative classroom conversation that meets the needs of all students, it is important for students to talk respectively with one another. With that being said, I think it would be beneficial for teachers to pair a number talk with accountable talk, where students talk meaningfully and respectfully with one another, which is mutually beneficial to both the speaker and the listener. To promote accountable talk, teachers create a collaborative learning environment in which students feel confident in expressing their ideas, opinions, and knowledge. Because number talks focus on math conversations between students where they are sharing their individual strategies, I think it is important that students also learn how to talk effectively with one another, where all students feel that their strategies, opinions, and ways of learning are respected by both the teacher and their peers. This will ensure that all students participate in the conversation without having to worry about what others think of their math strategizing and thinking. Some examples of accountable talk prompts are, I would like to add, can you explain why? And, can you tell me more? For my research findings, the following are the sources that I used. The first source is by Sherry Parrish, and it is titled Number Talks, Helping Children Build Mental Math Computation Strategies, Grades K to 5. Sherry Parrish's textbook is the renowned math resource that most K to 5 math teachers are currently using in their classroom by direction of their math instructional coach and or principal. The resource was created to help teachers with following students' thinking by posing the right questions to build understanding, how to prepare for and design purposeful number talks, and how to develop grade-level specific strategies for the operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. This resource is a great starting point as it provides me with enough background information on the number talk strategy. However, the textbook lacks information about the grade levels. With that being said, Parrish does a great job, through videos attached to the textbook by CD, in demonstrating what a real-life number talk looks like within a classroom environment and how successful number talks can be to student learning and achievement. The second source is titled Middle School Number Talks by Math Solutions and Scholastic Achievement Partners. This resource explains how to roll out a number talk for the middle school math teacher. What I like about this resource is how it is aligned directly with grades 6 to 8 and overviews the curriculum requirements for mathematical content. This resource explains the key components of number talks exactly how I have identified them in my statement of action research problem: classroom environment and community, classroom discussions, and the role of mental math and purposeful computation problems. The third source is titled Number Talks, Middle School, Developing Accuracy, Efficiency, and Flexibility by Penn Teachers Network. This resource adds more information to the middle school aspect of number talks. It explains number talks in the following way. In a number talk, the teacher gives the class an equation to solve mentally. Students may use paper and pencil to keep track of the steps as they do the mental calculations. Student strategies are shared and discussed to help all students think more flexibly as they work with numbers and operations. This resource provides example guiding questions to use within a number talk, possible teacher responses, possible student explanations, and how to properly scaffold a number talk to where the students are eventually running it by themselves. Lastly, this resource explains to middle school teachers how to effectively differentiate a number talk to meet the needs of all students within the classroom community, as well as how to encourage sharing and clarifying students' thinking, how to teach intentionally, and how to create a safe and supportive number talk environment while all students feel welcomed. The last resource is titled Classroom Chit Chat Using Accountable Talk in the Classroom by the Teach Ontario team. I have included this resource as an addition to the Number Talks as a way to help students have a successful and respectful math conversation with one another through something called Accountable Talk. Because Number Talks focus on math conversations between students where they are sharing their individual strategies, I think it is important that students also learn how to talk efficiently with one another, where all students feel that their strategies, opinions, and ways of learning are respected by both the teacher and their peers. This will ensure that all students participate in the conversation without having to worry about what others think of their math strategizing and thinking. To give you more context on my original source of inspiration for my research, the following two images are Sherry Parrish's Number Talk textbooks that you may have seen in the classroom before. The blue one is helping children build mental math and computation strategies, and the green one focuses on fractions, decimals, and percentages. The three data sources that I chose were teacher journals, videos, and open-ended questions. When collecting data on Number Talks, using a teacher journal would be helpful when reflecting on the middle school Number Talks that were happening within my classroom. I would start my journal entries with the Number Talk prompt that I focused on for that day, and then write anecdotal notes or comments under the prompt heading to then look for changes or growth within my math environment. A journal would therefore allow me to keep a written record of what has transpired within my middle school math classroom, as well as my reflections throughout the process. Additionally, with parent consent, I would use video within my classroom to document what a Number Talk looks like in action. I would use the video recordings to analyze my approach to Number Talks, as well as the students' responses with a more critical eye. In other words, videotaping the Number Talks would allow me to observe the Number Talks within the middle school math environment in a different way, with the luxury of being able to pause, rewind, replay, and transcribe student dialogue. Lastly, I think it's important to allow the students to have input on whether or not they feel that Number Talks has benefited their math knowledge and learning environment, as well as if Number Talks have created a collaborative classroom community through open-ended questioning. Using open-ended questioning, I can probe a little deeper into the experience of my students, as well as explore their suggestions and/or feedback. For example, I could ask the question, do you feel your math understanding has improved through Number Talks? How? I chose these three specific sources because I felt that they gave three completely different points of view, contributing to the triangulation of my data. In regards to triangulation specifically, I feel that the variety of my data sources demonstrates triangulation because I am using more than one data source from different people at different points in time. The more perspectives from which I examine Number Talks, the greater clarity I will obtain in regards to answers for my research question, which is why I carefully and specifically chose teacher journals, videos, and open-ended questions. My data sources show validity as they help me gather data that answers my original research question of how can the implementation of Number Talks within the middle school math classroom create a collaborative classroom community that recognizes the diverse math strategies of each individual. With that being said, the variety of my three data sources will demonstrate that my question is, in fact, measuring what it is supposed to be, as well as that my research question is authentic and legitimate in nature. My data sources show reliability because they will provide consistent results at different times in a variety of contexts. For example, when asking open-ended questions, I will ensure to ask the questions clearly and to follow the same questioning procedure each time I am ready to gather student input. In order to stay reliable, I will keep in mind that if someone else were to question my students, the majority of their answers would stay consistent from person to person. For the data source of teacher journals, the data collector will be the middle school math teacher, and the responsibility of the middle school math teacher will be to accurately write down each Number Talk prompt, as well as to take anecdotal notes of the changes and growth in the math environment due to the successful implementation of Number Talks, and to then reflect. The location will be within the math classroom, before, during, and after a Number Talk takes place. For the data source of videos, the data collectors will be both the middle school math teacher and the principal if needed. The responsibility will be to approve the usage of cameras within the learning environment, as well as to facilitate the accurate recording of number talks using a camera on a tripod. The data location will be within the math classroom during a number talk. For the last data source of open-ended questions, the data collectors will be both the middle school math teacher and the students. The responsibility of the students will be to answer questions posed by the middle school math teacher intermittently in a way that recognizes and values the students' perspectives on the use of number talks within the classroom. The middle school math teacher will have to ensure that these questions are both valid and reliable. The location will be within the math classroom intermittently after a number talk takes place or at the end of the school day as an exit ticket. My research will take 12 weeks in total to complete, 6 weeks to introduce the topic of number talks to ensure the students understand the concept, and another 6 weeks to collect the appropriate data for my research. Additionally, I will plan to do a number talk at least twice a week for a total of 24 number talks in 12 weeks. For teacher journals, I will write a journal entry for every number talk for a total of 24 journal entries by the end of my research. Twice a week, preferably every Monday to start off the week and Friday to end the week. For videos, I plan to videotape at least one number talk per week for a total of 12 videoed sessions. The videos will take place on the Friday of each week. Open-ended questions. Students will answer open-ended questions about their experience with number talks at least twice in the last 6 weeks of my research on 2 of the available Fridays. When thinking about the ethical considerations of my research, I think it's important to remember to maintain the confidentiality of the students as well as to ensure confidentiality of yourself as the researcher. When videotaping students during their number talks, I will ensure that I am letting students know that they are being recorded and will ask the students and their parents to sign a consent form demonstrating their permission to participate in the video footage. Additionally, I will be clear in regards to what I'm doing with the footage by explaining the research question and how their participation is imperative to our collaborative classroom community. It will also be clearly explained that the video footage is used for action research only and will not be shared with others. In regards to the students' open-ended questioning responses, I will communicate to the students that their responses will remain confidential and anonymous and will be used for solely research purposes. With that being said, the students and their parents will have the right to withdraw from the research at any time of their choosing, and they will be given an opportunity to ask questions about my action research and how it might benefit our math collaborative community. In regards to the confidentiality of myself as the researcher, within my research findings and write-ups, I will always ensure that I refer to myself as the math teacher and leave out the name and location of my school and district. With that being said, I would consult my school district directly for their specific policies in regards to the ethical conduct of action research in their schools. The closing question to my research is as follows: how does designing this action research study support your knowledge of teaching? As a future educator, I feel that through designing this action research study, I have gained confidence about what works versus what does not work when improving student learning. The action research study has helped me take a step in the right direction in regards to my own personal professional growth as an educator, as well as learning how to effectively solve a real-world classroom problem to therefore make the classroom a better place for students. Ultimately, action research allows educators to be the best version of themselves that they can be through multiple professional development opportunities when collecting research. Instead of always having our students engage in inquiry, we are, in a sense, practicing what we preach by having the opportunity to engage in our own inquiry as educators to contribute to the ever-evolving wheel of educational knowledge and resources. Therefore, the design of my own action research study has definitely improved my instructional practice and demonstrated the importance of contributing to the educational world that I will be a part of for the rest of my career. Thank you for listening.